We're at Gamescom 2016, and I think without a doubt, the game that probably made the biggest splash, certainly outside of the convention, is World of Warcraft Legion, because the Legion Cafe was just spectacular. What you're doing here for your German fans or anyone traveling to Cologne this week. I thought I'd start there because this is an interesting thing, because usually at Gamescom, if I'm not mistaken, you tend to sort of debut the cinematic introduction of the game, but this time you're a little bit further along, so we're right ahead of launch, so it's a little different. But if you will, what's the thinking going in here to Gamescom and with the Legion Cafe?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, exactly. Legion is coming out on August 30th, so it's about a week and a half away at this point. We don't have anything huge and massive to announce because we've just been hard at work on the game. And so we really wanted to use this Gamescom as both a chance to talk about the upcoming expansion, but also really to give our fans and our players and our community a chance to celebrate World of Warcraft and to celebrate Legion. And I think the Legion Cafe at the Gertznick in the heart of Cologne has really, it's this epic setup that our team has put together. It's this, two-story recreation of places inside the game world, full of activities and other fan events, food, drinks, and we've really opened it up as a party for all of our fans to come on in. It's open every evening throughout Gamescom from Thursday through Sunday, and so far the reaction's been great. It's been a place for people to meet up, take pictures, meet cosplayers, meet guildmates who may have come to Cologne from far away from across Europe, and it's been fantastic so far.
It's a little taste of BlizzCon for us Europeans who don't get to go over there.
Exactly. I think one of the greatest things about World of Warcraft and Blizzard games is the community and the friendships that people make through playing them. And it's great to be able to provide kind of a nexus for folks to get together and join in that celebration.
If we return to Legion, that's you mentioned is coming out very soon. You've had a beta period that people have been able to try it out. What sort of vision did you go into Legion with, and what did you want to sort of add to the World of Warcraft?
Yeah, so our beta has been active for the last few months. We've had hundreds of thousands of people participating, and we've had a great reception. We've gotten a lot of great data that's helped us make the game as close to perfect as possible, coming up on launch. I think the vision of Legion really is, adventure in the World of Warcraft. It's the Burning Legion are the greatest antagonist in the history of the Warcraft universe, and they've always been this looming threat, the shadow cast across the world, and that day has finally arrived, where they are attacking Azeroth, and all players, all races need to band together to fight for their survival. And Legion is an expansion, I feel, I'm a little bit biased here, but I think this is our greatest expansion yet. It's certainly the most ambitious, it's the largest. And we've tried to really deliver a broad array of features for all of the types of players that have emerged over the course of our 10-plus year game. I think early on in World of Warcraft, it was a novelty, and it was a world to explore, and players approached the game not really knowing exactly what to do in it other than set out and discover and adventure. And over the years, as people have, come and gone from the game, and new people have joined up, brought along their friends, people have figured out play styles that appeal to them most. And we have this huge tapestry of players that all prefer different types of activities. And I think in Legion, we've really tried to make it an ode to all of those, giving whether you are the person who likes solo questing and exploring and strong narrative, whether you like getting together with a small group of your friends and doing dungeons, whether you like PvP and testing yourself, whether you like epic raids, whether you like collection systems, whatever it is that appeals to you most about the game, there's something new in Legion that's going to allow you to experience the World of Warcraft like never before.
Interesting, and you touched on the story as well, because I think that's pretty significant what you're doing there, and getting back to some of those themes that's been popular in the past, and sort of digging a little bit deeper in some of the characters. What can you tell us about that, and certainly why you wanted to return to this?
Yeah, so I think, we've known for a while that there was going to be a Legion expansion coming up, and, in many ways, we started planting the seeds of that thread back in Mists of Pandaria when Garrosh fled to Draenor, and that served as a catalyst for Gul'dan, one of the greatest allies of the Burning Legion, to come to our world and set all these events in motion. And so, it's something that we felt it was the right time for this story that's been waiting in the wings for a while. It also gives us a chance to revisit some old favorites and some strong themes from the Warcraft universe more broadly, notably the Demon Hunter class. I think Demon Hunter, this concept of a blindfolded melee expert who also has made great personal sacrifice to take the power of demons into themselves to become the greatest weapon against the demons they seek to destroy. They're kind of this anti-hero that was laid out in the RTS. Illidan is their greatest representative, and it's a class that we've thought about bringing to players for some time. Once we nailed down the storyline of Legion, once we realized the world we were going to be exploring, the story we were going to be telling, we knew that if we were ever going to do it, this was the time. And so, super excited to be able to offer that new class to players, and the reception so far has been fantastic. Players who have pre-purchased Legion since last week have been able to make Demon Hunters already, even though the expansion's not out yet, and we've heard nothing but positive feedback, seeing, tons and tons and tons of Demon Hunters running around the world today.
In terms of how they play, how do you see that, sort of what kind of play style do they cater to, and how do they sort of fit into the sort of the greater scope of classes in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, they're kind of a hybrid between melee and sort of magical fell powers. They have two roles that they can fill, two specializations. You can be a Havoc Demon Hunter focusing on dealing damage, or a Vengeance Demon Hunter that's more of a tank focusing on taking damage and holding the attention of enemies around you for the sake of your allies. But I think the Demon Hunter is the most mobile class in World of Warcraft. I think that we wanted to make sure from the start that they had an array of tools that would let them explore the world as a playground like no other class can. Part of their nature is that they have wings, and because of this hybrid elven demon nature, they can double jump, they can glide naturally, and so that gives them access to other parts of the environment that other classes can't reach. They can easily traverse it. And from the Havoc Demon Hunter perspective, we wanted to make sure that mobility was incorporated in their gameplay, so that they have an ability called Fell Rush that zips through enemies, dealing damage along the way. We want them to feel highly agile and very much unlike any other class that's out there. They have a straightforward set of abilities that are relatively easy to grasp initially. There's a lot of depth there for those who want them, so it's designed to be a class that's approachable for new players, returning players, and has a lot of depth for experts who are really looking for something they can master.
You mentioned returning players there, and I feel like World of Warcraft is a state now where when you release an expansion, there's a jump in players, and we've experienced this many times now. Is that something you're conscious about when you design a new expansion like Legion, to sort of make sure that that it's because I can assume that that's going to affect game design as well?
Yeah, so definitely we try to make each individual expansion, a largely self-contained story, though they have connections to what came before and what will follow next. Since Warlords of Draenor, we've been offering a boost to the max level of the prior expansion for free when purchasing the new one, which means that you can jump right into the action. So if you haven't played World of Warcraft in many years, maybe your character is level 83, logged out somewhere, you see Legion, you're hearing about it, and if you're worried that, oh no, you're too far behind, you don't have to worry about that. You'll be able to jump right into the latest expansion that you can see. Beyond that, I think we recognize, as we've seen over the years, there are many different play styles, many different approaches people take to World of Warcraft. For some people, it's very much a lifestyle game. It's a year-round thing. They play with their friends. It's one of the primary games they play. And we, aim and are going to continue to strive to deliver a steady stream of content for those types of players, because there always needs to be something new and exciting to do in the World of Warcraft. On the other end of the spectrum, there are people who view WoW kind of like a single-player game. They, view it as a box product, a new exciting expansion's out. They don't have the time or the inclination anymore to, actually play World of Warcraft year-round, but they're happy to dive in, check out the new expansion, see what it has to offer, get to max level, and then take a break for a while. And that's totally fine. And we want to make sure those players have an awesome experience along the way as well.
I would assume that something that would entice them is the fact that Illidan we're going to get to learn a little bit more about his role in all this, and certain things that we haven't learned before, perhaps.
Yes, definitely. And, along with the Demon Hunter, Illidan, sort of the leader of the Demon Hunters, the first Demon Hunter, plays a very integral role in the expansion. Players who have created Demon Hunters already on the live servers Their story begins actually being given instructions directly from Illidan himself that shows you a bit about his motivations and the backstory that players hadn't been able to see yet. Now, beyond that, all players of all classes, as they adventure through the Broken Isles and Legion, are going to go down a path of an epic kind of campaign quest arc that will unfold the chapters of Illidan's life. We will actually learn about him literally from birth, from when Illidan was in the cradle, through the seminal moments of his life, his rise, his fall, and that will lead us to moments that will continue throughout the expansion to come. Illidan, for the time being, appears to have been killed, appears to have been defeated, but we haven't heard the last from him.
Certainly not. I also understand that you've sort of taken extra care for players who have old characters and who play through all the different classes, that you've taken extra care to make sure that they are getting a little bit of a different experience with every character they're playing.
It's very much so. I think especially, over the years, many players have developed, a stable of multiple max level characters. And we want to make sure that the experience of playing on different characters is as fresh as possible. So I think there's 3 big things in Legion that are going to make this the most alt-friendly expansion we've ever made. So first off, the entire outdoor world scales with your level from 98 all the way to 110, which means that unlike past expansions where you would, let's say, start Mist of Pandaria in Jade Forest, then go to Valley of the Four Winds, then Krasarang, then Kunlai, etc., and you were always going through the exact same relatively linear path on every character you played, in Legion, you can pick any of our 4 non-max level zones to start in. You can start in Azuna, you can start in Val'sharah and High Mountain. If you start out playing and a friend comes along a couple of days later, they're a few levels behind you, well, you can just pick a zone neither of you has done and play effectively side by side, getting meaningful quest rewards, gear, experience, etc. But of course, on your different characters, you can chart a different course through those zones. Second, the artifacts. Each of the 36 artifacts, one for every specialization, has its own custom acquisition story, and of course its own powers to unlock, its own progression. So when you hop in on a mage, you're going to be going through very different artifact acquisitions, making very different choices to unlock those different abilities and gain their appearances down the line than you are on your druid or your rogue. And then finally, class and class fantasy are central themes of Legion. Along with updated character animations and sort of refocused class ability sets that really try to emphasize what it means to be a member of a certain class, each class also takes on the role of the leader of an order that is going to help stand against the Burning Legion. And that comes with its own custom quest line. So if you are a mage, let's say, you're going to be, as you work to build up your order, as you upgrade it, as you recruit champions, as you customize your order hall to give you passive bonuses in one area versus another, you're also going to be unlocking steps of a very story-based quest line to uncover the potential demonic infiltration in the mages of Dalaran. Or if you're a Death Knight, you're going to be working to raise 4 new horsemen of the apocalypse to stand against the Legion, because of course that's how Death Knights would stand against the Legion. So in every one of your characters, you're going to be seeing different facets of the story, and I think more than ever before, it's not going to be repetitive, but rather amplify the experience.
A lot of content. We're back to that. There's a lot to go through. You mentioned when we started talking here how you sort of planted seeds for Legion leading up to this expansion. Is that something that is Legion a special case in that sense, or do you have like a general idea of what kind of expansions you want to sort of move on to in the future?
At this point, I think we do. I think that we obviously we are. So spoilers, we are working on another expansion. Legion is not the next expansion. But we've even thought and talked about, well, what's the next one after that going to be? And how can we start building towards it? I think beyond that, still probably some open questions. But I think if you look back at the early days of World of Warcraft, those expansions felt very much kind of disconnected individual stories. There was nothing in Burning Crusade that directly led to the story of the Lich King. There was nothing in Wrath that directly led to Deathwing's return. But since then, we think we can do better than that. We think that we actually can build and plant seeds and have an interconnecting arc that is a true narrative that flows through all of our expansions.
Sounds great. And just to iterate, World of Warcraft, August 30th?
August 30th, that's when Legion comes out, and we can't wait to see people there.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.